This is actually a sister ship. I worked on 7000, which is currently in the Reagan Library. So this is its sister ship. This one actually retired maybe a year before I got to the PAG. It's a privilege to be here. I retired 2 years ago from Air Force One. It's one of the hardest things to do was to actually leave and think that I was done. Fortunately, the Air Force brought me here. I've got a nice job working on the next generation of Air Force One. The PAG is a Presidential Airlift Group. Prior to 2001, it was actually known as the Presidential Pilot's Office. So the Air Force over time changes how they operate. The Presidential Pilot's Office became a group. So the group entails two squadrons. You have the Presidential Airlift Squadron and the Presidential Logistics Squadron. The Airlift Squadron is your pilots, your flight attendants, your flying security, and your engineers. Your PLS is all of maintenance. So the guys who pretty much take care and baby the airplane is your presidential logistics side of things. It's a little different when you get to the PAG because you brought into the PAG, and generally they go out and they try to find the best maintainers they can find. So you come into the PAG and you think, great, I'm working the president's plane, and you're handed a piece of cotton and a bottle of wax. And it's a little hard to get used to at first, but the pride, when you see the way people attract to the airplane. You go out on the road with the airplane, you just see cars pulled off on the side of the highway just so they can take a picture of the airplane. It makes it all worthwhile. It's a lot of hours just keeping the airplane clean, but that's part of, it's a national landmark. So I mean, having a spotless airplane really means a lot to us. When I first got there, I was electronics environmental system specialist. So pretty much anything electronic, anything to do with heating, air conditioning, oxygen, that was my realm of expertise. So I was one of the maintainers that took care of the airplane. Probably about 80% of my life was waxing the airplane. I don't know if you know, we don't actually wash the airplanes, we actually wax the airplanes by hand. So many sore shoulders and backs, but I did that for about the first 11 years I was stationed there. My last 4 years I operated as the maintenance training manager. So was in charge of all the training for the maintenance unit, making sure everybody's qualifications and certifications were kept up to date. To be here at the museum is great because one thing we would always tell people when we would walk them through the airplane is these are your airplanes. So your taxpayer money pays for these. They belong to you. They're national monuments, and it's nice. There's a lot of the people that come through and they have a lot of knowledge about airplanes. It's kind of neat. Every now and then a person will come by that actually worked the airplane or has somebody who's a family member that used to work the airplane. So you get the little stories with that. But for me to actually meet some of the guys that were prior to me is nice also, because you always want to make sure that, especially if you're with the program, that you leave the program better than you found it. And you don't want to let down the guys prior. So to be able to talk to some of these guys that flew with President Reagan and Nixon and beyond, it's really special.